well, so we should expect people to join as we go along. But so without further ado, I'd like to hand things over to our chamber president, Kendrick Tillman.
Greetings, everyone. As soon as he said my name, everything just fell. So if you can just do a quick introduction while I can turn my camera back on.
Okay, no problem. So so we have let's see, for our panelists. Next, I didn't have that listed here. Um, oh, there you are, Janice. So
Sure,
Janice,
I can share the names of our panelists if that
okay,
will be
great, great.
helpful. So we have Mr. Brian Moore. He is the Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Maryland Department of Labor in the Unemployment Insurance Division. And we also have Ann Gunning. She is the Business Solutions Manager in the Department of Workforce Development and Adult Learning. And I am Jan Walker-Imago. I work at the Maryland Department of Labor in the Office of Small Business Regulatory Assistance. I am the Small Business State Outreach Director. So we are so excited to be on this webinar with you this evening, and I'll turn it back over to you, Curtis.
No problem. It looks like Mr. Tillman is up and running. Do you want to jump in, Mr. Kendrick?
Yes, all is well now. Everything fell. I got it. Everything is good. So greetings, everyone. I'm so excited. I just came from teaching a class. Of course, we launched a product that teaches 5th grade through 9th grade math. So it was amazing to actually do a workshop in a different time zone because of how technology and how we had to pivot during this pandemic. So I literally just got off teaching a STEM and music class in another time zone. And so I just kind of threw in a blazer. So normally people that know me, I'm usually in the bow tie guy. I love my bow ties. But things must keep moving forward. So we are the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We were started in 2006. So we are just now turning 14 years old. And so we're excited about what's to come. And so just for a quick brief introduction on the chamber, most people think we're a government agency and we have millions of dollars in the bank and we are supposed to be rescuing businesses from out of being into the red. And that is absolutely not true. We are a volunteer organization. We are a 501c6. So one, that we can still advocate for legislation. And so that's one of the things that I would love for you to take away about the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. If there is a piece of legislation that will be turned into law that can affect your business in a negative way, we feel that it's strength in numbers and power in unity. We wouldn't want you as the individual going to Annapolis advocate on your behalf for that particular legislation. We want you to be able to come to the chamber, go to our legislative chair or legislative committee and say, hey, I saw this is coming through around and on the next General Assembly, and they may vote on this. We need to make sure that we have our advocates in place. Now, what does that mean? That means your homework is to know who represents you, where you live at, who are the senators, the elected officials that represent you, because every year they're voting on different bills that turn into law that can impact us in a positive way or negative way. So we want to be staying aware of that and being abreast on those things. Second, we feel like we want to remove the word networking out your vocabulary here in the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. Replace it with relationship building. As we build relationships, we can refer you into business. So our goal is to build relationships and then build capacity. There are only 2% of businesses in the whole country that have more than one employee. So we want to make sure that we're scaling up our small businesses and making sure they're able to hire in our communities that we want to make sure that we're serving. And so this 2 is removing the word networking and replacing it with relationship building. We bring great relationships, but while you're getting great relationships, we have extremely a strong panel to deliver you some information that can add value to your business. And third and final, and I'll digress with this, is that we have constituents that are actually nonprofits. And so we have nonprofits that are in our chamber base, and we want to be able to help them with resources, being able to support their mission, making sure that they can continue to stretch their feathers, because we're all busy, we're all small business owners, we all have a crazy schedule, so we can't go and feed the homeless every day. But best believe there are chamber organizations, chamber members, nonprofits that's what they focus on, and we want to be able to support them. So just to wrap up, that just to make sure legislation is important. Second, network is removed and building capacity and building relationships is in. And then third, we want to support the missions of our constituents and our chamber members. And so I'm excited just to have you here, and we would love to have you as a member of the chamber. Thank you for that moment. I'll turn it back over to you. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I think it's on me as well. So I get to introduce our guest speaker, Ms. Jan Walker. Emilgo. I always mess it up. Did I make it? Did I do it right?
Imago.
I'm so sorry, sis. You like family. I should know by now. And so
That's
I want to
okay,
just
Kendrick.
give
You're always forgiven.
Thank you so much. I just want to give her some brief information. She is a small business State Outreach Director at Maryland Department of Labor, Office of Small Business Regulatory Assistance. She advises small business on the process of starting and growing a business and the new Maryland Healthy Working Families Act. She's a senior leader with a proven track record across multiple lines of business. Janice spent the past 18 years educating small businesses on the pillars that contribute to success in the market. And so that's a family member to me, so I know that you're going to be received warm and welcome, just like you always receive me warm and welcome. So sis, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here, Janice.
Well, thank you so much, Kendrick. It's great to be with you again and with the chamber members here at the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm excited to be here with you guys this evening. But first, I wanted to talk about our presenters that are here this morning in the top, not this morning, I've been on like 4 webinars already, so I do apologize. I wanted to talk about the topics that we're going to discuss in today's webinar. So the first topic is work sharing. The second is the importance of returning to work. The third topic is recruitment services. And last, small business updates. So let's get started. So our first presenter is Mr. Brian Moore. He is the Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Maryland Department of Labor. Brian has served as the Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Division of Unemployment Insurance since October of 2017. Prior to his appointment, Brian served as the Assistant Secretary of the Louisiana Workforce Commission's Division of Workforce Development, where he led efforts to reform the public workforce in the state. Brian focused on creating career pathways through collaborative partnerships with businesses, education, government, and community-based organizations. Brian received his bachelor's degree from Dillard University and his law degree from Tulane University. Ladies and gentlemen and members of the chamber, please welcome Mr. Brian Moore.
Thank you very much, Janice, for the warm introduction. And thank you to the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce for having me here this evening to share some good information to your members and prospective members that are participating in this evening's webinar. So I think I have a bit of good news to share with employers, in this case, our Black businesses who are employers in the Greater Baltimore area. And the topic is the work sharing program that's available in the Division of Unemployment Insurance at the Maryland Department of Labor. Okay. So work sharing in general, it's a layoff aversion strategy. And we have a normal work sharing program that's been in existence in Maryland since 1984. And right now, during this pandemic, we're taking advantage of every flexibility under the sun that the federal government is allowing states to consider when offering work sharing to employers who are returning to their businesses after being forced to close down as a result of COVID-19. Work sharing avoids layoffs. It helps to preserve jobs for the current employees. And in a future slide, I'm going to be able to give you some very specific examples of how this program will benefit not only employers and not only employees, but during this pandemic is also going to be helping the Division of Unemployment Insurance to maintain the state's trust fund, which is used to pay unemployment insurance benefits to those who qualify when they're losing their jobs at no fault of their own. Next slide. Okay, speak of the slide, here it is. So what are the benefits for having a work sharing program and participating as an employer? Well, for the employer, it helps you to maintain productivity and quality of service. Let me talk about this for a second, because what happens in a general work sharing environment, when an employer is experiencing some type of an economic challenge because of a downturn in the economy of the industry where they have their business, then we will come to that employer and share with the employer the opportunity to, as opposed to laying off employees during this time, we will offer work sharing, which would essentially allow an employer to reduce the number of hours those employees are working. And in turn, those employees that are participating in their employees' work sharing plan will get the benefit of receiving a portion of the unemployment insurance benefits that they would have received had they been laid off 100%. And so in terms of benefits to those employers, it helps you to retain your experienced employees. So, we have employers that are hiring people and spend an awful lot of time, energy, and resources training those employees. And what a catastrophe would it be to lose those employees, albeit temporarily, for an economic downturn. And then when business is good again, those employees have been swept up by other employers. And in many instances, it may be your competitors within the same industry based on the skills and experiences those employees may have. Maintaining these employees on the payroll, even at a reduced hours per week, will still help keep those employees with high morale. So they will be better served having reduced number of hours than going from 40 hours a week to 0 hours per week. Because remember, they will have some level of offset to the hours of work that they're losing based on participating in work sharing. The employer has the flexibility to utilize the work sharing program for the entire company, or the employer can select it for a single unit or several units within the company. Work sharing enables businesses to conserve on their payroll costs until the business conditions improve. It saves the expense and time of recruiting, hiring, and training new employees all over again because you've lost them because you end up laying them off. As I mentioned earlier, as we're gradually reopening business operations, we're allowing, in this environment, employees to take advantage of work sharing as a reopening strategy to kind of save on some of the resources and revenue that those employers may have as they've been closed for several months, not earning any revenue. And until such time business can pick up, we can kind of help manage that payroll challenge through a work sharing opportunity. While work share benefits are normally charged against the employer's unemployment insurance account, this is one of the flexibilities that we have, all states have, but Maryland is choosing to take advantage of that flexibility. And that is this. Normally, employers employers rather contribute to the unemployment insurance trust fund based on the experience in using the trust fund. With the work sharing program is no different. Under normal situations, employees will be charged in accordance with their experience rate. Under the current conditions, however, Maryland has elected to not charge its employers a single penny for participating in work sharing through December 27th, which is when the CARES Act is set to expire. Now, subsequent to December 27th, let's see what Congress does, how the White House acts, and if there's an extension to the program, then we will extend the courtesy to employers to not charge them anything during this period of time for participating in the program. Because guess what? Maryland, because it already had a program prior to the CARES Act, we're going to get reimbursed by the federal government 100% for every benefit that's paid to employees of employers that are participating in work sharing. So how does it benefit the employees? One, as I mentioned, they get to keep their current job. So they don't get laid off. They just get a reduced number of hours to work during that particular week. So they continue to earn wages while they're working, and they'll continue to receive benefits for the hours that they're not working. They receive prorated unemployment insurance benefits to supplement the lost wages, which I just described to you. Now, another good benefit to employees is they get to maintain any health and retirement benefits that they were receiving prior to participating in work sharing unless that employer reduces or eliminates those benefits for the entire workforce of that employer. So in other words, they will be treated the same in terms of the health and retirement benefits as those employees that get to maintain their full workload per week. Um, those employees are not required to meet the same terms as those other individuals who have been laid off 100% and receiving regular unemployment insurance benefits. For example, a normal unemployment insurance claimant each week will be required to file a weekly certification, and among other things, they will have to certify that they're still unemployed, that they're able to work, available for work, and actively seeking work. So under this scenario, those employees would only doing the weekly certification piece of it. They would only have to certify that they're still able and available to work the hours that have been reduced by their employer. So if they went from a 40-hour a week to 32 hours a week, they would receive 20% of the unemployment insurance benefits had they been laid off 100% because they've lost 20% of their work hours, which is essentially one day out of a work week. But if that employer contacts the employee and say, hey, business is booming this week, we know we reduced your hours by 32, but I need you to come in this Friday, then that's an able and available issue. If that employee refuses to report to work on that Friday, that employee will not be able to receive the unemployment insurance benefits for that particular week once that employer notifies us that they did not show up when required to do so. Next slide. Okay, so what are the requirements for an employer to get a successful work sharing application through the process? And I'm happy to report that we have done everything and continue to do everything to make this process as less bureaucratic as possible, even during this pandemic, where we're overwhelmed all day, every day in the Division of Unemployment Insurance, if you haven't read the news paper or seen any news stories lately. So first thing, employers typically must have 2 employees of that affected unit to be participate in the work sharing plan. This is one of the exceptions that we're making during the pandemic. So right now, if an employer only has a single employee and can demonstrate a good cause reason as to why only one employee of that unit is participating in the plan, then we will grant that good cause exception. The next thing, there's some limitation, there's a threshold, there's a floor, and there's a ceiling in terms of the percentages of reduced hours an employer can give to an employee that's participating in work sharing. So it cannot be any less than 20% reduction in hours. It cannot be any greater than 50% or half of their regular work hours. Next, the employers must reduce the percentage of hours of work equally among a unit of employees. Again, this is another flexibility that we're going to have during the pandemic, because typically that's a very rigid rule in a non-pandemic environment. Right now, again, if that employee can articulate a legitimate good cause reason as to why that employer has 6 employees in that unit that's participating in work sharing, but there's not an equal distribution in the reduction of hours, if they show good cause reason, we will grant that good cause exception. Work sharing can only be used for not more than 26 weeks in a year per unit for that employee. So again, an employee can have multiple units, so therefore the employee can have multiple work sharing plans, but for each unit that has a plan cannot exceed the 26 weeks maximum. Now, work sharing is not for employers to use for seasonal or cyclical shutdowns. And so it's very important because we don't want to be non-transparent with that and be clear with employers to make sure that we explain to you what work sharing is for, but even more importantly, what is the purposes that is not intended for. So it's not intended for any normal or expected fluctuations in the economic activity, nor is it intended for an employer's usual operation on a regular basis. This is really for cyclical economic declines. And right now, what we're saying is that every industry throughout the state of Maryland is experiencing an economic decline. We're in a pandemic. And so we don't have to go through the rigors of trying to do data research and analysis and things of that nature to find out if an employer is truly experiencing a downturn in economic activity. If you're doing business in the state of Maryland, you qualify for purposes of being a downturn in the economy. Next slide. Okay, so next steps, employers. Your next steps is to notify, if you're interested, you're going to notify your employees. And if those employees are represented by a bargaining agent or union or some type of labor organization, then you would contact them just to give them a heads up that your intent is to apply for a work sharing plan to be approved in the state of Maryland. You'll then download and complete the application and the participant list. That is those employees that you have identified in a given unit of your operation that you're proposing to participate in your work sharing plan. And you'll also on that list, you'll provide some very sensitive information that will be secured within our system, along with the proposed percentage of hours that will be part of your application. Once you've downloaded and completed that process, you will return that application and participant list to the email that's provided here, ui.worksharing@maryland.gov. And within 7 to 15 days of your anticipated work sharing start date. Okay. Now, the law, Maryland state law, gives the Division of Unemployment Insurance up to 15 calendar days to review and complete and give a decision to the employee regarding their application. This is one of the things that I said that even in the pandemic, we're making sure that we're not becoming too bureaucratic or too overwhelmed, because we're still, for the most part, remaining within that 15 calendar day period. Now, it's going to be 15 calendar days of us receiving a completed application. So I don't want to mislead employees. If you submit an incomplete application, the clock doesn't start ticking on the 15 days. So you can't turn around and say, hey, it's been 18 days. You told me 15 days. No, we may have to go back and forth. We will have a UI professional working with you to hold your hand through the process to help you with your application. So we don't have to have heartburn over the application. It's a fairly simplistic application process. Some very straightforward questions with some very straightforward answers will be provided. Again, someone will be working with you, one of our UI professionals that works in the reemployment and trade unit to kind of get you through that process without too much challenge in the process. So we can get you within that 15 calendar day window. Now, if we happen to be at the 16th day, I would rather wait 16 days to get a completed application, because if you don't, then the law is going to require you to have to wait another 15 days to submit a new application. So we're not gonna turn this into a 30-day process over one day that we may be late with rendering a decision. Okay. So if approved, the employer is required to submit a weekly certification claim form that's stipulating the hours that were actually worked by those employees, because that may fluctuate. It may not be the same as what you proposed, because life is good this week. Remember, I gave a scenario where you may have reduced hours up at 20%, but business look like it's going to be great this week coming up. So you need Brian to show up on Friday. And so we're going to have to make some modifications to that weekly certification that those employers have to submit. And you see here on the slide the type of information that needs to be included on the weekly certification claim form. And again, you'll have a UI professional working with you throughout that process to help you, particularly during the first couple of weeks where it can be confusing. We're going to try to mitigate that confusion. Okay. Next, anything else? Is that it?
That's it. Thank you so much, Brian. Hopefully you'll be able to stick around for any Q&A.
I'll stick around for Q&A, and I will hopefully be able to answer every single question that may come to me. If unfortunately I'm not able to answer questions, I would ask that we can somehow get those questions reduced to writing. And once I receive those, and I promise to give a written response to every single question that I'm unable to answer. And thank you very much again for your time.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian. So our next presenter is Ann Gunning. She is the Business Service Manager for the Office of Workforce Development and Adult Learning at the Maryland Department of Labor. Ann focuses on supporting statewide operations as it relates to business services. She manages a team of regional business consultants who provide business strategy and resources for employers in Maryland. Please welcome Ann Gunning.
Thank you, Jan. Good evening, everyone. I just want to go over a little bit of help that we can offer our businesses. Me and Brian Moore created a business strategy to help employers bring their employees back to work. But as we know, not everybody might come back to work when we need them to come back. Some may have good reasons not to return, and some might have ones that we don't find to be such good reasons. But I just want to go over some of the returning to work issues that we're facing and what we can do to help you. Next. So as Brian spoke about helping employers get their people back to work and utilizing the business strategy and the work share program, we do know that not everyone is going to come back to work and they may still file for unemployment. And we just want to let you know that if you have someone that you're calling back to work and they don't want to come back to work or they're not returning as you've asked, you can indicate that information to the unemployment insurance department and let them know that you're having trouble getting your employees back to work to see if we can assist. In normal times, the intent of unemployment insurance is to assist people during periods of unemployment when suitable work is not available. However, a claimant may not refuse work because unemployment benefits are higher than the amount of the claimant would earn from employment. So our main goal is to get all our employees back to work. And if they don't, we make a determination to determine if they can remain on unemployment. And there are reasons that they may be able to, but unemployment will adjudicate this issue. Next. So what happens if you have employees that are not coming back to work and what we call a job refusal? You can report this information to the Division of Unemployment Insurance within 15 days of the refusal in order for the division to consider whether a refusal will affect the individual's benefits. There's some information that we would need. You would need to supply the company's name, the name and title and phone number of the contact of the company, the full legal name of the employee, and the last 4 digits of the employer's social security number. And you may have to provide a little bit of a scenario of what happened and why someone did not return. You can actually go online and fill out an online application for the employer, or you can go ahead and email that refusal to the ui.balkclaim@maryland.gov. Next. There is new portals that in the system for employers where they can actually just click on and update or remove an employer's return to work date. This has caused a little bit of difficulty with our unemployment insurance system, mainly since employers indicated a return to work date and they did not actually need them to return on that date. So here you can go and you can change it and update it or actually remove it if you're still closed for a remainder of the period. You also can, that's the link, the new reported job refusal link, where you can click on to go ahead and let us know that someone has refused to return to work. So that way unemployment can adjudicate the issue to determine if they should be able to remain on unemployment insurance. Next. Not returning to work. What if I'm not ready to go back to work? Well, we do hear a lot of these scenarios about you. And we just want to point out to the employers out there that your employees may be making themselves ineligible for rehire by the employer. Your employer may need to hire additional employees to take your place, leaving you without a job because the employer may be ready to open their doors and get back to business. And you may be ineligible to continue receiving unemployment insurance benefits unless you're covered by the CARES Act. Like I said, there are good reasons when you're not able to return. However, not all reasons are one that would allow you to collect unemployment. Next. So as we talked, we are trying to use the recruitment and our business strategy to bring everybody back to work. So they would come back and we could get our economy back to where we were previous to the pandemic. But as we know, everyone is not going to return as we would like. So what we want you to know is there is recruitment assistance out there. We can help you with looking for new talent if you need to. So that way we can fill the gaps if people do not return to work. And there are different state benefits I'm going to go over, which is the Maryland Workforce Exchange, the American Job Centers. Okay, so the America Workforce Exchange, it is our computerized system that helps match your needs with the talent that we have out there. Everyone is required when they collect unemployment to enroll in the mwejobs.maryland.gov. So once they're in there and they're looking for work, what we do is we match the employer's needs with the talent that we have enrolled in the Maryland Workforce Exchange. Next. Right now, we have Maryland's America Job Centers. We have them located throughout the state of Maryland. And these centers are there to help you with looking for talent, assisting veterans, transitioning military personnel, and other qualified individuals. We also offer assistance for justice-involved returning citizens that are part of our qualified pool of citizens and who are ready to go back to work and need to also. So these are the things we do at our America Job Centers. However, since they are not open right now, you still can log on and virtually connect with them to get the same service that you would if you were to walk into them or call them. Next. Here's the different counties that we have, and you can just click on to get the link, and it will bring up the calendar to tell you about what's going on in these centers. And even though you cannot walk in, you still can click onto them virtually and participate in many of the activities, the recruitment sessions that we have, or just to click on and contact one of our regional business service consultants or reentry consultants or veteran consultants. We have lots of business service groups out there that can help you with your needs. Next. We also have virtual job fairs going on. We're able to help you and your experts identify a highly qualified pool of talent candidates for your consideration. And what happens when we help you, it minimizes your costs, which can be really pricey when you're looking for talent. So we can advertise your recruitments for free. We can recruit talent based on your specification. We can screen applicants to help identify a qualified applicant for you. We can provide job readiness training at no cost. We can hold job fairs and provide venues for interviews. And we also can link candidates to assistance for transportation, childcare, and other resources. We can provide information for you about tax incentives, business demographics, employer commute patterns, wages, what centers are opening, what areas are growing more, and which ones are moving through the phases of the state emergency. Next. Also, you may have to move some of your staff around because you might have some gaps in your employees, and you might have to promote someone or move them around to take someone else's place that might not have returned. And you can utilize our Maryland Business Works program, which is an incumbent worker training program. This can help you get training for one of your or several of your employees to help fill the gap. And it's a program that helps provide an upgrading of the skills of a current employment and creates opportunities for expanding when we're ready to expand in the future. And what does this do? Well, it's for small companies of 500 or less. And generally, we help you get the training for your in-demand training and services that you're eligible to apply for. It's a dollar-to-dollar match, and it's $4,500 per person or $40,000 per company. And we generally do need some time. So if you are interested, there's the websites at the bottom, which is labor.maryland.gov/employment/MBW. So that's where you can go get the application, and you can read over the rules and the requirements. We do ask that we are getting quite a demand for this training. So we ask that you send that application in about 4 to 5 weeks ahead of time before the training starts, so that way we can reimburse you. So generally the employer puts out the funds and we reimburse them for a dollar-to-dollar match. So it is a great program to help train your workers and move them around if you need in order to get your business back and growing, hopefully growing to where it was before this pandemic started. Next. Here are some additional resources and state websites where you can also get additional information, or where we can post your job needs on. So the COVID-19 Now Hiring Job Board, we do post your job openings on there. We also tweet them out in Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook. So we are using some different programs to go ahead and help recruit and get some information out there. And then you can, last but not least, visit our resource page, Business Express, at businessexpress.maryland.gov, where you can find out a lot of information about different resources that cover other state agencies and not just the Maryland Department of Labor. You can find out what's going on in the health, in the Department of Transportation, in commerce, to see what's growing, what's expanding. And like I mentioned earlier, you can find out what's going on in each county and who's reopening and what phase they're in. Next. There's my information. If you have any
So,
questions.
Anne, before we get started, I apologize. This is a different PowerPoint presentation. But in terms of the small business update that I wanted to provide to members of the chamber today, it's what Anne talked about. It's Maryland Business Express. That platform has a link to COVID-19 resources for business owners in the state. And I would draw your attention to the financial assistance page, where you will find information if you scroll all the way down. And I know that access to capital is extremely important to the business community during this time. So scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you will find local grants that are being offered on the local level. If you scroll to the middle of the page, you will find federal resources, and at the top, you will find state resources. So I highly encourage every single business owner that is a member of this chamber to please utilize that site. This is where all the state agencies are posting information, particularly during this pandemic. And so it is Maryland Business Express. You can go on that platform, or you can Google Business Express and make sure that you indicate that it's from Maryland, and it will prompt you to on that site to research information that's essential to your business. And so now I'll just turn it over to Kendrick for any Q&A.
Wonderful. Somehow I've removed my camera so I could keep the stream going, so they could see y'all and not see me. But you can hear me. So I'm fostering questions. If you have any questions right now, please put them in the chat, and I'll figure out how to put my camera back on later. One question I had, just from members of the chamber, the chamber's perspective, how can the chamber support this effort to making sure that, one, we're live streaming right now, so I'm asking this question for a reason, just for people that I'm seeing people chiming into the live stream and are not in the Zoom call. How can the chamber be a vessel to either make this an easier transition or smoother process for constituents that may need these opportunities? And two, will you be able to give us information specifically, or hopefully maybe even in a link format that people could click and kind of have access to some of that information? Because I'm seeing on some of the chats on Facebook that if you didn't hear the whole thing, you missed a couple things. And so how do you recap some of those things, and how can the chamber be a help of that?
Sure. So we can provide Deborah with the slide deck and all the information that Brian talked about earlier with work sharing, along with links. The links that I'm going to provide to you is live, where you can just click on it in the PowerPoint presentation and it'll bring you right to the Maryland Business Express webpage. We also have contact information that is going to be provided to chamber members or those that are on Facebook looking to connect with the Maryland Department of Labor. So you can reach out to us. The best way to connect with us is via email, since we are in the midst of a pandemic, but we are more than happy to provide assistance to you. But I think the most effective way to get this information out to people and to have them connect with us is by providing you with the PowerPoint slides, and you can share that.
Got it. Awesome. Again, Curtis, you're muted if you wanted to ask a question. Anyone that wants to ask
Sure.
a question, feel free to write in the chat. We'll even bring you on camera so you can ask your question.
So, Kendrick, there were two questions that we did want to ask that were specific. Do you want me to ask those questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So the first one is, how often can I stop and start the utilization of the work sharing plan? For example, I've been approved to work or been approved for the work sharing plan. I cancel because business is picking up. If business slows down again, can I reapply?
And the short answer to that is absolutely yes. It can
Okay.
reapply. So you can as long as you're not as long as an employer is not trying to utilize a work sharing plan for situations that is not intended to, like normal fluctuations in business or expected fluctuations in business. If it's dealing like in this pandemic environment in particular, then yes, they can start a plan, stop a plan. We've had that. Let's give you an example. We've had employers that apply for work sharing, then they received PPP. They ended their work sharing plans, and then when PPP ended, we were able to help them reinstitute a work sharing plan subsequent to the ending of their PPP loan, a grant, whatever
Okay.
it ended up being. Yes.
Good. Perfect. And the second question, if I need to hire part-time employee for the holiday season, can your office provide assistance with a virtual hiring session?
Yes, we have been customizing our recruitment sessions to your needs so we can help you with part-time. We have been doing that. We're already started doing that for a lot of our retail positions. So yes, we can customize it just for you. It can be part-time, full-time, temporary, but no, we can definitely, if you reach out to us, we can go ahead and assist you with whatever talent that you are looking to hire.
Okay, fantastic. And I have one more question from me personally. So within the workforce development arena, are there any programs to provide stipends for interns or any payroll assistance for workforce development programs?
Right now, there are no programs that are going to supplement any income for an intern or anything like that. I'm trying to think if there's anything right now. I mean, registered apprenticeship is really what a lot of people confuse with internship. I'm sorry. That's something that we utilize in order to get someone training and while they work also. So we really don't support financially to supplement any income for internships because we do have a registered apprenticeship program, which people do confuse with the internship, but it's a little bit more than that.
Okay, good. Where can we find information about that?
About the registered apprenticeship, I can go ahead and share you that link. It is on our webpage, but I can go ahead and give that information to Jan so she can share, so you can find out everything you need to about a registered apprenticeship. And I do, a lot of people think of registered apprenticeship as your traditional occupations. However, I do invite everyone or any business that would like to add new occupations because we are adding them every day. We've, of course, IT cyber, that's one that we're doing a registered apprenticeship now. We are even doing a tattoo artist. So we are doing new programs every day in order to get people the training and also have their paid wages while they're getting this training and as they earn and learn as they go.
Okay, fantastic. So what I'd like to do, and Kendrick, we can kind of work together on this. I think Hassan has a question, and if I could just allow him to talk, maybe he can ask the question directly.
Sure. If you want to bring Hassan in as a panelist, if he's already there, please come on. He will
Okay,
be our featured member for Black Professional Men anyway.
all right, he's on his way. So Hassan, are you there? Oh, there you go.
So my question that I think I had a few questions, but I was interested in the one question about the lady finding employment resources for businesses. So actually, my wife's business needs drivers and food handlers or food prep personnel, people that can make donuts.
So you're directing this question then to Ann. So you're looking to hire folks. So you're interested in the recruitment side. Is that correct?
Yes. We expanded to the DMV area a few weeks ago, and we need to increase our staff.
Yes, Mr. Diggs, that's where you would find us to help. We do help with any type of recruitment needs, drivers, food prep, anyone you would need. We do help you with your recruitment needs. And we can share my email afterwards, and then you can send me an email and I can go ahead and connect you with one of our consultants in your area so that they can go ahead and get you enrolled on the Maryland Workforce Exchange. And then also maybe we could set up a recruitment session for you, or we can tweet out your jobs, or we can post them on the Maryland Department of Labor's website.
That sounds great. So Kendrick, how we broker the email?
So I'm going to send that directly to you right now in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to provide that information via email to you. I still have your email address.
Oh, outstanding. I appreciate that.
Sure, my pleasure.
Wonderful. Teamwork makes the dream work.
So my first question I asked during the beginning was, what was the chamber's goals for their members? I don't know if you have that's the question I generally ask.
Is that to the chamber or is that to the?
That was just, I guess a general question.
Because to me that varies based on the individual chamber member. They all have different goals.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was to the chamber because I understand the chamber's mission is to advocate for legislation that impacts businesses. And so I didn't know if one of your goals were to encourage businesses to seek out legislation that may impact them, to be able to bring it to your attention or anything along those lines.
Great question, but it wouldn't be a chamber's thing. The chamber is broken up into committees, so that would be the legislative committee of the chamber that would handle that slice of what you're talking about.
Okay.
Right. And so right now, his goal is just to make sure that every chamber member understands who represents them in Annapolis, based on your office at home or your office of your business. There's a senator, there are elected officials that all represent that particular district. And so the very first ask before anything else, the chair of the legislative committee wants you to know who represents you. Then we research what have they voted on, and then we find out what needs to be in place or what's coming in place that's going to hurt us as minority business owners.
Okay. I'm sorry, can I ask a question of Mr. Bryan regarding the WorkShare program?
Absolutely.
And my question is if temporary employees can be covered under the WorkShare program. Not at all.
Great question, and I apologize for not even mentioning that, but no, temporary employees are precluded from participating. So are part-time employees and seasonal employees. The only part-time employees that can participate will be permanent part-time employees.
Okay, can you elaborate on that for me then? Because I do have a part-time.
In other words, if you hire
permanent part-time employee.
Yeah, so if you hire someone and that position itself is a permanent part-time position, then that person will be eligible to participate in work sharing.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you hire someone and they know coming in, they work 20 hours. Their full work week is 20 hours. That's a permanent part-time person. They will be able to be included in your plan.
Excellent. Okay. That was a question I wanted to make sure that that I asked. So
it's a great question, and that's actually stipulated in Maryland state law.
Okay, so if our members need assistance in applying for WorkShare program do we contact you directly, or if the chamber wants to provide, I mean, if we need to provide some technical assistance to those who are interested in applying for that, are you our direct contact to help walk us through that?
No, ma'am.
Brian?
No, ma'am. I would not be. I have a reemployment and trade unit, and that's 7 employees, and there's a manager that works in that unit by the name of Yolanda Cullen,
Okay.
Cullen, and there's a WorkShare email address that I'm sure Janice will provide to you all. So employees who are interested can simply contact us through that email. And once, even before they say, okay, yes, I want to apply, if they still have questions, then they can have their questions asked and answered through that forum. And if at any time you're not getting a quick enough response, even from Yolanda Cullen, then please contact me directly. I will be the person who will ultimately approve or deny work sharing applications. So those applications will go through that unit. The recommendation for approval will come to me, and I will review those applications and will either agree with the recommendation or send it back if there's something that's missing. I'm not going to outright deny an application. I will tell them what troubles I have with it, ask them to continue to provide that technical assistance to those employees, because my goal is to get every employer, particularly right now, since we're in a pandemic, and so every industry is experiencing an economic downturn. I would like to see every single employer who applies that has an active unemployment insurance account with us to be approved. Now, once we get out of this pandemic, then we'll have to go back to the normal course of managing this program that's very prescriptive and limited only to those employees who are actually experiencing an economic downturn.
So Brian, I also provided to all the panelists and attendees the work sharing email. You will find that in the chat.
Thank you, Janice.
Okay.
My pleasure.
All right.
I hope I answered your question, Chair
Yeah,
Lady.
yes, you did. I do have one final question for Ann. And your state recruitment program, is that in conjunction with the city's recruitment program, or I know that Maryland Workforce Exchange is a state program, but the city also have their one-stop shop centers. Yeah. Is this a coordinated effort, or?
Yes, it is. So in our America Job Centers everywhere and in the city, we take on many partners, and we do have MOED, the Mayor's Office of Employment Development there, and they do utilize the state's job bank, which is the Maryland Workforce Exchange, in order to match employers' needs with talent. So yeah, we do all work together, and a lot of times you won't even know who you're working with, and that's how we like it. We like it very seamless. We do partner with several partners you probably not expect, like to include healthcare. So yeah, no, we do work. It's the same Maryland Workforce Exchange. And we have lots of different people that can assist you with making sure your jobs are in there, and that we hold a recruitment session for you, and we fulfill your needs in order to hire the talent you need.
Okay. All right. Those are all the questions that I have. Thank you.
And thank you. And I just wanted to highlight that I believe there was a grant program that launched today from Baltimore Community Lending.
You're stealing my thunder.
I'm sorry?
You're stealing my thunder.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's all about resources, right? So I want to make sure that this chamber has all the information that they need. So I'm going to be quiet now.
No, go ahead and make the presentation, and I'm going to actually put the links up. So you go ahead and talk about it. I will put the links up. That works perfect.
Well, it's real. So I was just on a webinar earlier today with the director of small business at Baltimore Community Lending, and she talked about the grant that she received from Truist, and I believe it's $300,000. So for those that are looking for grant assistance in Baltimore City, I highly encourage you to go over to their website, look at their requirements, and if you meet those requirements, go ahead and submit an application. Those are funds that could help to sustain your business during this pandemic.
And if you're in my email blast, I sent that out this morning.
There you go. Teamwork makes the dream work, Kendrick. So if that concludes our Q&A for the panelists that are here at the Maryland Department of Labor, I'll just turn it back over to you, Kendrick. Thank you so much to you and to the members of the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate you listening to our presentation today. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to us. The presentation will be provided to Ms. Deborah to share with you this evening. Thank you so much, and thank you for allowing us to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Janice. Thank
you.
you, Ms. Moore, Mr. Moore,
Thank you,
and just
team.
everyone from the Maryland Department of Labor. You all have been phenomenal this evening, and your presence is just we can't even. I wish I could just give you flowers virtually and give them a gift card, because everything each of us need all of us, and I don't think you understand who's on this call right now and those who are viewing this on social media right now, that this is what the chamber is about. If we can be a magnet for resources to bring them to us so that we can share them to you, that is what chambers are. Is the gold in chambers. That's the gold in that network. That's the gold in understanding the relationships that you build, because people refer business to you when you are trusted. You're not referring business when we don't know you, but when you build that relationship, people refer business because based on how you built that trust and how you built that relationship. And so moving forward, those that know me, I try to be as much as a resource magnet as possible. My Generation X was the analog childhood, digital adulthood era. So I know how to communicate with our baby boomers. I know how to communicate with our millennials. And one of my personal passions is to really bring those two communications seamlessly. They communicate differently, and sometimes they don't quite understand each other. So that lack of that transfer of knowledge isn't transferred at the rate that I would love to see it. And so we as Generation X, those that are born before 1960 or after 1964 and before 1980, we kind of fit in that framework, or that we understand both languages. And so we got to make sure that we're fostering this communication. And as I transition to our member spotlight, it's the same thing. As a resource magnet, when I heard that the Maryland Department of Labor was going to be here giving you all a toolkit, and I said, wait a minute, someone else had a toolkit. How can we merge these together? Oh, Black professional men. Can we make Can we make that merge together? And so I'm excited to bring our president, Black Professional Men, who has just been phenomenal for the last 5 years of understanding that the mission of the organization is to ensure the future of the African-American male. And I won't say anything more than that, to give him time, his 5 minutes before, yes.
Kendrick, I'm sorry. I think Brian was about to say something, so I just wanted to make sure he stated what he had to say.
Oh, yes. By all means, Brian, please.
Just very briefly before I depart, first I want to thank Madam Chair. And so Kendrick, I'm going to pass on the flowers. but I will, I was on hold for a while before we started, so I will take that playlist you were playing, man. That was some good music.
I could definitely email you. It's a pre-recorded mix. I'll send it over to you.
Listen, all right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Awesome. So with that, I'll turn the floor over to our spotlight member of the week is Black Professional Men. We actually turn 30 years old next year, so I'm not going to say anymore because I can go in on Black Professional Men. So with that, Mr. Diggs, serving as the president, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Again, I'm Hassan Diggs. I have the pleasure of serving as the president of Black Professional Men. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak here today. As the panelists had mentioned, a lot of the businesses in the area, in our area, in our community, are suffering. And one of the things that Black Professional Men is working to do is provide shared resources. So it kind of goes with, not quite with the shared employment program, but we understand that small businesses, money matters, everything matters. And there's tools that you can use that can stretch your dollar but that A, you may not know about, B, you may not be willing to take that risk on, or 3, you just might not know how to use it. And so what we have done is created a plug and play platform that allow businesses to be able to leverage these resources and be able to do more with less. So what does that mean? All businesses generally at this point have to be able to send information out, have to have a method to be able to collect and catalog information, and be able to share whatever it is they're doing on social media. So those 3 features or options are included in our toolkit. So you're able to have an email that can be sent out to your particular audience. Whenever you come across a customer or a potential customer, you're able to leverage our tools to be able to collect and catalog that information and put them in the right category so that you know how to respond to them. Now, we use a CRM to be able to do this. And with that CRM, you're able to create rules. We're able to leverage that to do more with less. So if you have an army of one, that's generally what a small business is, and you have somebody who want to get information about your business or compared to somebody who wants to use your business. So you may not have all the time necessary to be able to send them everything that they may need. However, if you use a form that they can request information and then have it programmed to automatically send out a list of everything that you do, that may save some steps. And so before, you may have had to have an assistant or have all these emails pile up in your inbox and wait till the middle of the night till you're able to get to them. And by the time you're able to respond, the need for your service may have expired. So this is just some of the tools that we have available that may be able to help you take advantage of those opportunities. So that is a brief summary of our business toolkit, which kind of works as shared resources. And with our business toolkit, which we all know, it comes with a virtual assistant. And in many cases, small businesses can either afford a virtual assistant or they don't have enough work to employ a virtual assistant for the full breadth of make it worth the while to have them as a client. But under this service plan that we have, you're able to just have a small slice, and then collectively there's enough work there to be able to provide for a virtual assistant. So at the same time, we're able to allow your business to create jobs.
Are you entertaining questions? Because I have a couple.
I am. I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Right. That sounds like a very innovative and much needed toolkit. My question is, in terms of your social media toolkit, those of us who are, as Kendrick would say, the baby boomer generation, who may not, be as well adept in social media, how could this toolkit, the CRM and the social media toolkit, benefit my business?
So with social media, I have a very different philosophy than a lot of different people, but I like to put out great information that appeals to my target audience. And you're able to find that information in all kinds of places. And with our social media tool, you're able to schedule posts. So you can have that information placed into a spreadsheet and upload it, and it can be scheduled to go out. And those posts can have engaging content that makes people respond to it. And so then you would get the necessary notifications that you have comments or likes to the post that you that were scheduled and posted for you.
Oh, okay. And how would I access that resource?
So with us, you can just send, you can contact me directly at president@bpminc.org. And we what we would do is we will get your goals and make sure that we're able to align the right pieces of the toolkit with your needs.
Okay. All right. So can you put that information in our chat at some point so that our
Yes, I
members
think
can have it?
Kendrick put my my email in there. Now the toolkit is not free, but it is extremely affordable. And what we have done is we essentially are able to break up the cost of these resources if you was to get it yourself and just pass on that fraction of that cost on to you.
Okay.
So based on what you would need, we will be able to let you know what your piece of the pie would be.
And could that possibly include the virtual assistant? Are you looking at the whole? Are you looking at the?
Yes, that would include the virtual assistant.
So it's kind of, is it customized based on the business's needs?
So it's more configured because you would have access to all the tools, but as every toolbox, when you first start out, you don't need all the tools.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be able to, as Kendrick has taught me, we want to be able to let you get a quick win. And as you see the benefits of a few tools, you're going to gain the confidence to be able to use a few more tools.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Are there any other questions or anything in the other chats that people may have?
I have one for you.
Yes.
So I have a number of IT clients and some website clients. Is this something that I can offer to my clients and something I could integrate into their websites for them?
Short answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Short answer is yes. And again, we would need to see which pieces of the toolkit they would need to be able to use, and then get those pieces configured for them.
Gotcha. All right.
So to kind of give a brief testimonial story, even though I'm the president, my wife is an extension of me, but not me, and she's been able to take advantage of this toolkit. Now, with this toolkit, she's been able to send out emails to her customers and grow her email list. She's been able to get marketing material designed, and she's been able to grow her social media footprint.
Most excellent.
Yeah.
And now my many of you may or may not know my wife, but she is a she knows exactly what she wants. She may not know how to do everything she needs done, but she knows exactly how she wants it done. And we was able to use these resources to expand her business to the DMV. And the output of everything went as we expected. So we seen a huge turn up in orders, which we was able to process, and as well as be able to sustain that wave. And I think we're going into the third week, so we are leveling out at a good pace, and she's able to leverage additional resources to help her sustain that growth in her business by just using the tools that are available to her in this toolkit.
All right. Well, we may have to have you come back and actually do a demonstration of the toolkit.
Okay, that will be great. The best way to do that is to be able to have a case study. So if you wanted to have a member of the chamber kind of go through it, we can have them go through the toolkit process, and then they can be able to give their candid experience of it.
All right, we'll talk.
Okay.
I actually have a member in mind that has been asking me for such a thing. So I'll reach out to him and connect the two of you.
Okay. Definitely appreciate the time.
All right. Well, thank you for being a supportive member of the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. And it certainly has been a pleasure. And we appreciate the sharing of the information that is beneficial to our membership.
All right. Well, I got one more thing to add is that we just procured a virtual venue. And with this virtual venue, we're offering it to partners that are in the need to be able to provide virtual conferences. And our executive team was able to come up with methods for nonprofits that may not have the budget to do a virtual conference, but have the need and desire to do it. So I would be the point of contact for anybody that is interested in taking advantage of that resource as well.
Tia Latrell says, great information, Hassan. I had a question about the organization is turning 30 next year, and I just think that's phenomenal. And what I love about the organization is what you really didn't go in on today, and that's how you incorporate the goals or challenges of a particular member, partner, organization, business, and incorporate that in Black professional men's goal. We basically, it's like we made your goal this organization's goal.
Right. So
and I want you to speak on that.
Our goal.
Yes. So I want you to speak on one. How did you come up with that? Because this is really intentional, because being in that middle generation, I've seen a lot of divide, and my goal is to bring unity. And part of our mission of the chamber and our vision of the chamber is strengthen unity, is strengthen numbers and power and unity. And so I wanted you really kind of discuss the model, the understanding the Black professional men's model to make your goal the organization's goal. Can you speak on that?
Yes. So when we say plug and play, it's you're able to plug into us and inherit resources. But as I mentioned a lot of times, hustle is sold separately. And to give you a recent example that what we're doing is we've connected with a business called Black and Mobile. And what Black and Mobile, what they do is they provide food delivery for Black restaurants. Now we have Black restaurants that we want to help keep open and be able to get them more consumers. Now we also have a company that provides delivery services, or that provides delivery services to other businesses. So by using and leveraging the plug and play philosophy in this situation, what we were able to do is connect Black and Mobile, which is out of Philly, that is entering the Baltimore area, connect them with local restaurants that need this delivery service. Now, I'd like you to keep this in mind. They charge a 20% surcharge. Uber Eats and DoorDash charge the 33% service charge to the restaurant. Okay. Now we're able to explain to the restaurant and layer this with our program called BPM cards, where we're able to send them consumers that will use this service to be able to get their products delivered. And so the BPM cards is a fundraiser that we use through the PTAs in the schools to allow the schools a fundraiser method to raise funds so that they can have capital to do their programs. So how does all this come together? So with the plug and play, we're able to plug in the consumers, which are the parents and teachers, to the restaurants. And since we don't want a lot of people to come to the restaurants, we're able to plug in Black and Mobile that can now bring the food from the restaurants to the consumers, but Black and Mobile is not in this area. So we're able to connect them with their local delivery service that is going to be able to take the orders that is made through Black and Mobile to a Black restaurant for a Black delivery service to a Black consumer. Everybody wins and everybody gets out of it what they need. Now, everybody always asks us, what do we get out of this? And our mission is to ensure the future of African-American males, which is to ensure the future of an African-American male, you have to be able to ensure the future of the community and their family. So just by doing this, we're able to help the restaurants increase their profitability by exposing them to more consumers at no cost. Because they don't pay for the marketing that Black and Mobile does. Just how when they use Uber Eats and DoorDash, all of their orders are done through that platform. So they don't go to their website and then go to Uber Eats to order their food. They go straight to Uber Eats, select the restaurants within that platform, and then order their food. So now these restaurants are able to get more customers without paying anything. Now, Black and Mobile is able to enter this market without having to pay an additional tax of not having any resources or being a trusted source. Now, we actually will have a local business being able to increase the amount of drivers that they have because of the amount of restaurants that would need this delivery. So we're able to create those particular jobs. And then we're able to provide a platform for our parents and teachers to do a fundraiser so that they can increase the amount of money that they have to put resources into their classrooms. And all of this, it works as kinetic energy and allows everybody to plug in and get exactly what they want out of it. But I say again, the hustle piece is sold separately. So everybody has to be able to do their small slice for everything to be able to work. And the only thing we do is make the resources available for people to take the opportunity to use them.
Okay.
I think Joan White
Thank you
McCain
for
had a
that.
question. She raised her hand and she is on screen. You can unmute yourself, Joan, and ask your question directly.
Good evening, everyone. Now, I just wanted to ask more about how the marketing services would be handled with this toolbox. If you could expound on that more.
So with the marketing services, we provide marketing tools. So you will be able to get flyers created, and you will have access to an email service where you can email out those marketing materials to your network. You will also be able to schedule posts that would send that marketing material to your platforms. Now, if you do not have a social media platform, then our virtual assistants will create one for you. So for instance, a lot of people do not have a Pinterest account, but 80% of Pinterest, their target base is 80% of women, which a lot of women are consumers. And so by just having content placed on Pinterest, you're able to make it appear in different searching results. And that will help you be able to reach more clients. I hope that answered your question.
I'll email you later to
Okay.
get more information. Mm-hmm.
But that's just
We just have a couple more announcements, and but that we are at 7:29, and this has been really rich and valuable information. But we want to stay on schedule, and
absolutely.
And I have just a couple of announcements, and I think we can make it a great evening. I did place some information in the chat relating to, and I'm looking, a second. Trying to minimize my screen here, trying to figure out how to do that. But what I wanted to just highlight a couple of announcements. One, Janice spoke on the first one in reference to grant funding available through the Baltimore Business Lending. We also received information through the mayor's office and the Baltimore Development Corporation, in which we, as the chamber, we are a referring member to the Small Business Resource Fund. And in addition to the grant funds available through the Baltimore Business Lending, our own member organization, which is a member of the chamber, there are also funds available through a separate pot of money through the Baltimore Development Corporation and our relationship with them as a referral partner. So in the chat, you will see two separate links. One link is for the Baltimore Business Lending grant application, and a separate link for the Baltimore Small Business grants through Baltimore Development Corporation. And the big difference between the two is that the pot of money through the Baltimore Business Lending is, there is a portion of the funds that are designated for businesses that did not qualify for the PPP and the EDIL loans, or the SBA loans. So we are encouraging our members to to participate or to look at the eligibility requirements for both. Under the Baltimore Development Corporation, there are qualifications or eligibility based on the geographic locations of businesses within Baltimore City. So you want to be, just mindful to look at them both. The deadlines for applying, there's a short window, and the deadline for both sources of grants is October the 16th. The chamber is providing some technical assistance through the as the information is provided there. So if you have, if you have any questions that you have, there's email contacts through BBL and through the chamber, through Charmaine. Her email address is provided, and Melissa's email address is provided for BBL. And of course, you can always email the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber and just ask for technical assistance, and we'll make sure that you're plugged in. So that's extremely important information on access to capital. We want to also remind you to continue to look at the Chamber's website for updates on the general election, because it is a moving target. The information is ever changing, and we know the importance of this election both for presidential and our local mayoral election. So we want to make sure that we have all the information that is available to us to ensure our right to vote. Last but not least, the 2020 census deadline was extended to October the 30th. So we've been, trying to do our due diligence to make sure that you're up to date with information about how to complete the census. So continue to go to our website for updated information on both the 2020 census and the Maryland general election. Our website is the greaterbaltimoreblackchamber.org. And we thank you very much tonight, and I will turn it back over to Kendrick and to Curtis to say good night.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if as our treasurer comes on, I'll just say these few words. That remember, our motto is that it's strength in numbers and power and unity. And not to get too religious, but the Most High had 12 disciples. So if you think you can do it by yourself, the Most High had 12 disciples. Teamwork makes the dream work, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for all tuning in to the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. I am Kendrick Tillman, serving as the president, and I thank you for our spotlight member of Black Professional Men, all the executive board, the whole board, and all of our members. Man, this is a non-profit organization. Nobody gets paid to be here, and I'm just excited at how the committees are growing. And as we open things up and things clear up, and we can actually physically be in the same space, I would love to hear from our committees and our vice president to understand how they're growing and how the goals around just the committees are growing. And so that's the excitement that I just feel about the chamber. I'm a Pisces, so we feed off of energy, and so I'm excited about the energy that's been in the chamber in the last 5 or 6 years. Just half a dozen years has just been amazing. I've watched this just grow, and I've just loved the network. And so thank you. And with that, I'll digress and hand it over to our treasurer.
Thanks, Kendrick. I just want to, just close out by just acknowledging our leadership. Kendrick Tillman as the president, Lindsay Pill as the vice president, and Deborah Keller as our chairman of the board. These folks work extremely hard throughout the month to make sure that we have the type of presenters that we have today, to make sure that all the things that happen in the background happen on time, make the trains run on time. And I want to especially acknowledge Deborah for her new appointment to the board of directors for the Baltimore Business Bureau. That is a huge achievement and accomplishment, and it makes a difference for our folks to be out front and engaged and involved in that way, and plug into the power that they can bring back to us as members of the chamber to make a difference for our organizations. So on behalf of our leadership, I just want to say good night.
All right. Good night, all. Good night to all of our participants that are still there. If you want to unmute and say, like we do in church, if you want to unmute and say hello.
I was going to say, Curtis, please leave the room open just a little bit. I want to just kind of run through the chat and make sure that all those links I kind of have copied and paste to a sheet that I can send out on. I want to put that on our social media tonight. There was a few links that I see that Jan put up there. So if we could just leave the room open for maybe another 15 minutes. If people want to come on camera and network, that's fine. I just kind of want to dig in the chat box to make sure I got everything that was supposed to be sent out to everyone.
Yeah, the funding links are in there too. So that's
no problem. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might even be able to send that chat to you. Yeah. Okay, so I'm saving the chat. So we have it captured. All right. Okay, good. Anything else, guys? I'm going to close out.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Have a good night.
Mm-hmm.
Baby boomers have a direct line of communication that we actually understand, but the millennials don't. Millennials rather text, email. A baby boomer would rather get a piece of mail in the mail, physical mail, or a phone call. say we are at that age where we're the called group to bring in the energy of our younger generations and bring in the wisdom of our older generations and be able to foster both and all with our own input to move the agenda forward. One of the biggest things I've learned over the last decade. How you feel about it? Because you were saying you don't want to talk about age, and I was like, no, you were saying that. Well, I mean, for me, it's about legacy, though. I want to make sure that when somebody says my name, it was about helping people. That's all I'm saying. All you got is your name. God gave us all names, or energies, whatever you want to call it, energy. The energy has an impact. That's all we want to do, right? Impact the world in a positive way. That's how you find your life's work. You mix your passion with something that solves a problem, mixed with making the world a better place. You don't agree with that? So am I supposed to agree with that and say you're right, or that's your opinion, and I say that's your opinion? Let me make sure I'm clear. I did. And I hear that. You said that over and over again, but that doesn't matter to me. So are you pushing it on me to make it matter, or are you just stating it so we can say, okay, that matters to you, and when I was trying to explain what matters to me, you said you're not listening. And so I'm like, all right, let me shut up and listen. And you said the same thing again. Right. No, it's not about being right. It's about having a difference of opinion. You feel like you said all I care about is call the people I love. Great. That's what you care about. All I care about is making the world a better place. That's two different things. So we can agree to disagree that we both care about two different things. I mean, actually, it's agreement. That's not even disagreement. That's agreeing. So on another note, this is light bulb called Pure Light, right? It's supposed to deodorize, deallegerize. Okay, cool. Love you too, babe. All right. first 10 minutes. So Lindsay was like, what are you